a customer and a software company that work together to enhance the LX systems. The LX system is a beautiful place. It has a lot of features and functions, but there are some software companies out there that enhance the capabilities of the LX system. And one of the companies that we've asked to join us today, and a customer of ours, a customer of Infor that uses the product to join, and Ryan will be joining us here shortly after he gets done with his technical issues, is a company called TouchPath. And we've got David Myers from TouchPath joining us today to talk about his product. And we're just waiting on Ryan to join us first. And we'll start off with Ryan and talk about what was the problems or the issues he had that he needed to solve using a third-party software to enhance the LX system to work together as a beautiful product. So we'll just give it a minute here for Ryan to get on. In the meantime, maybe Dave, you can talk about your company and who you are first, and we'll start off with that.
Okay, thank you. TouchPath has been around for probably, coming up to 30 years now, working with LX as it is now, but back in the days when it was BPix. We grew out of a company quite similar to Crossroads. We were, it was SSA Southeast were SSA's biggest reseller of BPix back in the day, in the 90s, early 2000s. And our customers were asking for barcoding and scanning solutions in the warehouse. So we built a product that they could then use to, in effect, design and build their own barcoding and scanning solutions, and decided that it could be ERP agnostic. So we created a brand new company to invest and develop that product, and hence TouchPath, although it has been through several name changes. A lot of our customers have been with us for well over 25 years, and they've been through all of the various name changes with us. But the team at the core of the company is the same guys who started it off 30 years ago. So we've got a lot of experience in BPix, in integrating with BPix, specifically in the barcoding and scanning area and tracking capabilities and so on. Our main product is a warehouse management system called Touch WMS. It's fully integrated with LX. What we do is take a subset of LX data up to an SQL database, and that's the data that we then validate shop floor transactions against, which means if LX is down for backup, for example, or there's any issues with comms, then the shop floor can continue to operate because we've got a subset of data local to them that they can validate against. All transactions are posted real time back to LX, so the two systems are in sync real time.
Well, I've noticed that Ryan has joined us, but has a Sandra name on there.
Yeah. All the planning and preparation doesn't matter whenever that computer won't connect at the last minute.
Absolutely.
I totally agree with you. Well, we'll start off. I introduced kind of Ryan, what you earlier, and why you were trying to get in, and I talked about why we're having this. And Ryan, can you kind of go over and tell everybody who's on the call, what was the issues that you had and the problems that you were trying to solve with LX? And LX is a beautiful product. It works very well, but you had to go outside and purchase another third-party package to enhance your capabilities with LX. Do you want us to tell us, what was the issue you had and what you looked at and what were some of the problems that you were trying to solve?
Yeah. So I caught the caught what David was saying, and the idea of barcoding in your warehousing practice, that was not something that we did back in 2015. We use LX. We've been using LX since 2004. We were on 8.1 at the time. So, it did the inventory tracking. It did the transactional stuff, but it was all very manual. You have to go into INV 500, PUR 550, and key in your data. But as, we're a food manufacturer. So as traceability requirements became more important, we started barcoding. But we needed a piece of software that did two very important things. One was to collect the barcode data, and then the second was post it into LX. We tried a few solutions before that kind of approached this in different ways, but TouchPath really had the solution that did everything from creating the initial screens that we used to collect the data on a Windows mobile device, to processing it through a workflow engine, to posting it into LX, to providing error handling and logging. So it was, for us, it started out with glass. We deal with, I don't know if I want to say millions, but at least hundreds of thousands of glass pallets every year. And we wanted a fast, easy way to keep up with those and provide traceability. And we dropped this in. And I'm going to be honest, I think it took about 90 to 120 days from start to finish to get it up and running. And it worked really well for glass. And over the years, over the last 10 years, we've expanded it to caps, trays, labels, cucumbers and peppers. Pretty much anywhere that we can leverage TouchPath to increase both our efficiency in inventory transactions and the amount of data that we're collecting. We've put it out there. It's used across most of the company now. And for our SQL Server friends out there, the fact that you get a copy of your LX data in SQL Server has just been a kind of like a nice fringe benefit, because we're able to reference that in a lot of our other SQL-based applications without having to tie back into LX itself. So it's a really nice, convenient feature to add on to that.
So tell us, how was the implementation?
Implementation was fairly smooth. There's the initial server setup and installation, which takes all of, I think, about 30 minutes. A couple of database connections, the iSeries and LX profile setup. And then once that's in place, there's the installation on the AS400 itself of a bit of a module that runs there to actually call the AS400 programs. And it was up and going. There's some implementation because there's a workflow engine behind it. If I recall correctly, TouchPath brought in what they called their inventory visibility prepackaged workflow, which I think did 80-90% out of the box for what we needed. And then we spent those first few months working through, well, here's the things where we're slightly different and we want to do things a little bit differently. And so they adjusted the workflow as we needed it. And then it was probably one of the easiest software projects we've had the pleasure of doing around here.
So Dave, tell us a little bit about the product that Ryan uses today and the process of the data.
Okay, so as I said earlier, we take a subset of the data from LX up into an SQL database. So, for example, the item master, I've lost count of how many fields are on there these days, but we might take a dozen, 15 fields that we need for our application. So our IIM lookalike in SQL has only got the 12 or 15 fields that we're interested in. We've got some trigger software on the iSeries, so we utilize standard iSeries database triggers. So any insert or update in the BPIX table or LX file gets triggered. Our piece of software looks at what's changed. If it's one of the fields that we're interested in, then it passes that up to SQL. If it's not, it just discards the change because we're not interested in it. In terms of the functionality that we have available, then in truth, it's a fully fledged WMS, so we can do all sorts. And these days, it's not so much. It's not just automating transaction entry, if you like. We are filling, as you mentioned, Tim, earlier on, we're filling the holes, the functional holes within LX. It's great at what it does, but it has been around a while, and these days there are certain things that people would like to do that to do directly in LX would take a long time to develop and build, whereas we can turn it around in a few days, a few weeks.
Yeah.
But in terms of the standard WMS, we cover everything through all the transactions from purchase receiving, be that components, materials, or finished product. Guided put away, so we can tell the user exactly where to put the received product based on the rules that management have set. Picking for shop orders, so making sure the right quality of component is picked and sent to the work center. Production reporting, so we're creating the finished product in LX, palletizing it if pallets are in use, and that's outside of LX. So LX knows nothing about the concept of pallets. So in the transactions we're posting back to LX, it's simply item, quantity, location. Whereas in WMS, we've got a pallet there. So the user just scans the pallet ID, the location he's putting it into. We know what's on that pallet, where it's coming from. So we build all the rest of the transaction to do a mass location transfer of 500 of item XYZ from location AA1 to ZZ2. And all the operator's done is scan 2 barcodes, pallet label, and the location it's going into.
Yeah.
So it's that type of thing. In terms of picking, we can support simple pick, pack, and ship, or a bit more complex wave picking. So pick by zone, comes back to a sortation area. The orders are sorted into order totes. Once the order's fully picked, then it goes off to the pack station, gets packed and shipped. Pick to pallet, if it's bulk picks, we can do pallet consolidation, so we can move things around so that on the shipping side, you're building pallets that fit the rules that the customer wants to see, and then from that, printing full pallet manifests, delivery notes, and so on, in as much detail as our customer wants to see on their documentation. We can also do clever things like implement lock control outside of LX. So turning on lock control in LX is a bit of a monster. It does have serious repercussions.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of companies these days just want simple traceability, or they might just want to provide a lot number to their customer so their customer can implement some sort of traceability at their end. So we keep it simple. We create stock with lot numbers within WMS, but again, when we're passing that back to LX, we drop the lot number so all LX can see is item, quantity, location. All of the lot control we do outside of LX. Similarly with pallets and containers, we might be managing inventory by pallet around the warehouse, but when we pass information back to LX, it's simply item, quantity, location.
Yeah, that's can I David, can I interject real quick?
Yeah, sure.
One thing I didn't mention, and that was something that was key for us was, we're managing hundreds of thousands of pallets of glass, and that was just the first instance. But we're doing this every year, and LX, especially at 8.1, just is not built for handling that many detailed records for your inventory. One of the biggest value drivers for us was this was just a drop-in module that collects the data, manages the pallets, where they're at, when they were received, where they were used. And as you said, it just keeps up in LX's inventory. So then accounting knows what they need to receive, what they've received, what they need to pay for, what needs to go on the books. And that was a very, very lightweight module that had a huge payback for us.
Good to hear. Yeah, great. One other thing we can do, we have also got an allocation module, because LX, without implementing lock control, the way LX allocates inventory to orders, be they shop orders or customer orders, it is extremely basic. It's just based on location name. So it will allocate from AA1 first, and then AA2, AA3, all the way down. So you end up picking lots of bits, whereas there could be one location at the end of the line that's got the full quantity you need. So it could be one pick as opposed to 3 picks that LX has generated. So we've got our own allocation routine that will allocate stock and pass those allocation records back to LX. So anybody, any LX users can see exactly what the situation is in terms of availability and what's been allocated to each individual order. But we can do things like just by utilizing a simple pick sequence against each location, we can generate allocations that will give us the most efficient pick route, for example. So depending on what rules you want to build in terms of the layout of your warehouse, we can make sure that the pickers are taking the shortest route to pick the required product. Or similarly, if you've got a quiet period and you want to clear out all the bits and pieces, then flicking a switch real time, the next allocation run will clear as many or empty as many rack locations as possible, just to get rid of the bits and pieces, so that you can then utilize that for new pallets coming in. We've got things like cycle counting, which eliminates the need for a plant-wide shutdown to count stock at year end, for example. And you can generate worksheets manually by a location, range, or item, or we can do that automatically using ABC codes and the last counted date to ensure that the auditor's counting rules are met. Shop order picking and transfer to line side I've mentioned, but that also can support kitting. So if you want to build kits as part of the process, that tends to be a process that's done outside of LX, but it's just to make the components manageable for each specific shop order. So we can recognize each cage or pallet or tote that you're building and hard allocate the material in that to a particular shop order and make sure that that kit gets to the right work center at the right time. And in terms of work centers, if you've got line side consumables, then we can very easily drop in an auto replenishment for line side consumables to make sure that you'd never have any stockouts in your work centers for the things that normally the operative just turn around and take out of a little tote, like washers, screws, nuts, bolts, and so on, that type of thing. So there's no hard allocation or no picking of those items specifically. They're just there to be used at the work center. But WMS will make sure there's always the right level of stock in those line side totes for you. If you are using lock control outside of LX with WMS, one other benefit we can provide is FIFO or FIFO stock allocation, because as soon as we've got lot headers held against the stock, even though it's not within LX, if we're using our allocation routine, then that's geared up to use WMS's internal lot headers. So we can easily provide FIFO and FIFO stock allocation outside of LX, and even include custom rules. So if you've got specific customers who require material that's got a specific shelf life, for example, we can ensure that only stock that meets those rules will get allocated to that customer order. So you can see we've got a wide range of functionality, plus all the basics. So stock adjustments, if a pallet gets broken and you need to write off some stock, then all that's a standard. Location consolidation, so you've got bits and pieces of the same item around and about. Again, the system will guide you to where those bits are, so you can pull them into a single location, and again, just tidy up the warehouse easily. There's lots of things in there that give the guys on the shop floor added value as well. I think one thing, I don't know what you thought, Ryan, but when we're introducing our solutions onto the shop floor, the guys on the shop floor do take to them quite quickly because they're intuitive for a start. So it'll ask one question like scan pallet number, and you have to scan the pallet number to get the next screen, which gives you the information that's come back from that pallet number, but then it might say scan item. So it's very conversational, and the users find it very easy to work with, and it's very hard for them to make a mistake. If they do make a mistake, it tells them they've made a mistake, and it won't let them go any further till they've rectified that mistake. So we do find it goes in very well, no matter how size the warehouse team are.
Yeah, for us, it was actually, so it makes me smile when you say the shop floor team, because the glass side went in very well. We rolled that out, and there was just immediate adoption for it. When we moved to caps, our production team that handles caps was actually extremely resistant to any change in their process. And actually what we ended up doing was we said, okay, well, fine. And in the end, the materials handling team, because they're the ones who, when there's an adjustment or there's a mess up in inventory or they can't find a pallet of caps, they're the ones that get blamed for it, right? They're the ones going to get with the stick. And so we came back to, I think we were working with Ben May at the time, and we came back to him and Vinky, and we said, look, hey guys, they're not adopting it. So the standard out of the box, how we're going to issue this just isn't going to work. Let's rethink the process. And we did. And we came with a process where materials would scan what they've staged, return what hasn't been staged, and then go in at the end of the shop order. And whatever did not get returned, that got issued. And that is what's going to go in your shop order. And one of the things that we found that was a huge benefit here was our cycle counts and write-offs. They took a nosedive because now instead of counting your caps maybe once a month, once every other month, and writing off whatever you lost, you're now getting this daily tracking of how much went to the shop orders, how much was wasted, went over the scrap factor. And you know, our variances have become much more tightly controlled, and because I have a system like this. It is definitely easy to adopt. It's also easy to, I don't want to use the word customize. It's easy to adjust to what we need it to be. There's not like, we're not going into the code and asking, I'll change this code, recompile that code. The workflow engine, you know, I'll give you a great example. When we first started this, we had a lot of errors where transactions would get rejected. I'm trying to remember why, but the key point was when we brought it up to the guys who are doing the work, they're like, okay, hold on a second. They go in the workflow, they add an extra check. It returns an error message back to the user immediately. It says, yeah, you can't do that. There's no more errors getting logged. Instead, the user's told, you didn't move the pallet into this location first, or the pallet doesn't have enough quantity for you to do that. I'm going to stop you. It's been a game changer in terms of our inventory management. And then the other side of that is I already talked about the pallet tracking, didn't I? Sorry, I love the pallet tracking feature. It is huge. It is very important for us. It's great. But yeah, the reporting side. You know, we create these daily reports that production supervisors can review to see, here's what you packed, here's what you needed to use, here's what you actually used. And there's that sort of immediate, well, I can go follow up with this department, this workstation, that workstation, and find out, hey, what happened yesterday. Why did I throw away 10,000 trays? Right, that was $1,000 or $2,000 I had to eat. What happened there? Let's make sure we can prevent that. And the cycle counting, just the ability to go around and send someone out to cycle count throughout the day. We do a full cycle count of everything that's scanned. We do a full cycle count every month. We have very tightly controlled inventory, and for us that's huge because one pallet of caps can run multiple shop orders of some of our items. Some of our items we run very short shop orders, and so when we're getting ready to plant it, there's one pallet on hand. We've got to go find that pallet. We're not going to order more because we have enough for enough shop orders. We got to go know where it's at, and we always use the system. Go look it up. There it is. Go pull it. Let's run.
Yeah. And another thing to recognize with the cycle count is because inventory is moving in real time. So as quantities are picked from a location, that the quantity in that location is downdated real time and moved into an in-transit location until it gets to wherever it's going, be that the packing station or the work center. Then we don't need to lock down for cycle count until the counter actually gets in front of each individual location. So we don't lock the location for movements in and out until the counter is actually doing the count. So he does his count, enters the quantity, that's then released so pickers and put away people can get in and start moving stuff in and out of that. And then there's no need for reconciliation. Well, we counted that, but we have to remember that 5 minutes previous, we picked 100 for this customer order, and that would still be in LX. Well, it's not because we've moved it out of that location already.
Yeah.
So it makes it very, very simple, very straightforward, and solid sound.
It does. And by the way, let me just, you mentioned something, and I don't know how many people do this, but in LX, you have the shop floor posting, which has, your labor tickets, your back flushing.
Yes.
That got automated, and I'm thinking that was out of the box, but that got automated too.
Yes.
When we implemented this, which again was just a time savings for the production reporting team, because now instead of back flushing a day later and finding out, how much you have left, instead we're back flushing in real time. I think we set it to every hour, and now materials and planning, when they're looking at the next day, they already have a good idea of what's come up at the end of the shift. Back flush is already done. They're working with better numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And your MRP is better quality as well because it's using real data. It's using real time data, not how it was the end of last shift or the end of yesterday. Yeah.
And let me interject one thing. You said you keep mentioning lot control, and that you can generally turn off lot control in your ERP, and you can. We haven't. We still have lot control in LX,
There's
and it's not a limitation here. You
absolutely
can keep
not.
It on, keep doing what you're doing.
Your choice. Your choice. Right. Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Ryan, are you currently using any type of mobile devices to manage the transactions in the inventory right now?
Yeah, we might be using a few. We have a whole fleet of mobile scan guns, from Windows CE to some new Android devices. We're doing this on the mobile side. So there's the smart client where the TouchPath comes with out of the box. That's the conversational piece that David's talking about. It's very straightforward. It's easy for them to implement. However many screens, how many steps you need. But they've also provided for us. And again, keep in mind, we were on LX. We recently upgraded 8.4, but we were on 8.1. 8.1 does not have an API. 8.1 does not have the ability to program with it. But TouchPath does. They came in and we thought, guys, this is so great. We want to integrate a couple of these other apps. And so they took some of these processes and they created an API sitting on top of 8.1 that we could then use for our other applications. So, for example, our cucumber receiving, we're not scanning every box, right? There's a lot of boxes coming in. We're not unloading to scan. Instead, we know the tag numbers when they come in from the supplier. And used to, you got a screen up here with supplier BOL, you got LX over here, you're doing the math, you're keying things in, and all this. Like, hey, how about this? Click a button, read the BOL, receive it into inventory, post it right through TouchPath, and you're done. Move on to the next truck.
Yep.
So yeah, we use mobile, but these guys have made it possible for us to use it pretty much anywhere that benefits us.
That's fantastic. One of the things that I've noticed with TouchPath, and Ryan, you can probably elaborate on this. There's not a lot of companies out there that have adapters right into INV 500 or right into SFC 550 like TouchPath does. Can you collaborate on that a little bit and talk about that?
I mean, I can only say back in 2015, we were looking for a solution like this for probably a couple of years. And we tried, I won't name any names, but our solution that was put in, this is before my time, but the solution that was put in before this involved an Excel spreadsheet, an emulator connected to INV 500, and a macro read through the spreadsheet and key everything into INV 500, doing all the keystrokes and everything for you. And as you can imagine, it was error prone. If you touched your computer while it was running, then it just kind of went off the rails. You know, we were looking around for this. I haven't seen any other companies that have out of the box integrated like this. Yeah, if they're out there, I've not heard of them. And I know that Ion, you know, for example, Ion now can post transactions INV 500. But one of the things that the TouchPath provides that Ion doesn't is if I'm a user and I scan something, let's say I want to transfer a pallet or I want to receive a pallet. I'm going to receive a pallet. I enter the PO number. I scan the pallet. Maybe I want to go and look up that pallet in my ASN and see what item number's on there. I look up the item number. Then I want to verify that item number's on the PO I entered. And if it's not, I want to tell the user that item number is not on that PO. For Ion, I'm going to post the transaction over, and in the dashboard, it's going to say you have an error. Someone's going to have to go log in, look at the error, figure out what happened. In TouchPath, it's going to show right there on the screen, the PO you've entered does not have that item. That item's not on that PO. That PO is closed. That PO has been fully received. It's going to tell the user exactly what's wrong, why it can't do the thing. And at that point, hopefully they know what they need to do to get it done. Use the right PO number, call the office, have the PO extended or reopened.
Yeah.
That immediate feedback is huge. Anything that doesn't provide that is just not going to do the job.
That's great. That's great. We're running pretty close to time here. David, do you have anything else you want to talk about at all?
Only to cover a little bit something that Ryan mentioned earlier in terms of tweaking the solution to fit the business. We do take pride in being able to deliver a solution that fits our customers' requirements exactly. So the core solution is extremely configurable, but everybody does things slightly differently. And because of the tool set that we've built the solution with, then we can do tweaks extremely quickly. So it might seem like a significant change when the customer asks us for it, but we can turn around and say, no, we'll have that back within 4 hours we'll do that in 4 hours of services, which is a cost that they're quite happy to take, because the benefit to them of having that done. But we can do a lot in 4 hours with the platform that we built our solutions with, which we also own, by the way. So
that's good.
Inside out.
That's good. Ryan,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted my chance to throw something in there too.
Go ahead.
So two things, and this is on the technical back end side. Number one is while they can certainly tweak the workflow to fit the business, there's also just a lot of built-in configuration options. A lot of validation rules you just turn on and off. A lot of times when we see something new happening and we're like, oh, we need to adjust that, we don't really have to even call support. The first thing we do is we go look at all the available configuration settings, and we say, don't allow that, allow this, override that. And a lot of it is honestly built in out of the box. Where we have had things For example, we'll have purchase orders that are open. Somebody's sitting there paying it or looking at it or whatever, and someone's over trying to receive it. Well, it causes an error because LX says that PO is in use. I can't receive against it. Well, we brought that one up, and I think after maybe, like you said, 4 hours of work, they had a solution that just retries every 5 minutes until that PO gets closed and errors get cleared up. Nobody has to do anything else. So there's a lot of configuration out of the box, and the support. This is a shout out to Vinky and the support guys. Is like, they're always on it, very responsive, and a lot of times, and I'll be honest here, a lot of times when we bring up something and they're like, I don't think that's our issue, but they're still really kind enough to work through it, whether it's an LX configuration or just kind of us trying to understand how it works. The support, this is over 10 years of experience with these guys. The support has always been top notch.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We do try our best. Yeah.
All right. Well, both of you, I thank you very much for helping me host this meeting and bringing your expertise to how you use the product. I think this is one of the best products I've seen in the market today. I use it with a bunch of customers. I've used it since 1990 something. I've known this company for a long time. And Ryan, thank you for sharing your process with us and sharing us your experience with this. We've got more to come in the next couple months with other companies, but I want to thank both of you guys for joining for the first time that we're started this path with sharing, solutions of other products with LX. Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
My pleasure.
Is there any questions that anybody has that want to ask our two guests about the product or about the process? All right. Well, like I said, this is going to be put into history, and it's going to be we'll be able to bring up the sessions for review or anytime anybody else wants to look at it too. Again, both of you, thank you very much for participating. I appreciate that.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks a lot.